I'm Andy Katz. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a dream player for Roy Williams of North Carolina. I gave him 10 categories, and he had to pick one player from each one of these categories to come up with his dream player during his 17 years at North Carolina.
Best pitch ahead guy I've ever seen, so he could make the big guys run by rewarding them, and they'd run again the next time. And could make the bounce pass inside when he penetrated. Could also penetrate and find the guy for three. He was definitely a pass first point guard, but just tremendous savvy, and got the ball to the best shooters, and had good players around him, and he made them look really good. Okay, Marcus PAIGE.
Do something from the outside now. It's PAIGE off balance. Puts it up.
Made a shot in the national championship game that if Chris Jenkins hadn't made the shot from Villanova, if we'd have gotten the game into overtime, his double, triple pump three-pointer with 5 seconds left in the game to tie the score, if we had gotten it into overtime and won the game, I've even told Michael Jordan I think Marcus's shot would have erased Michael's as the most famous shot in North Carolina basketball history. So that kid really, he didn't make any difference to him at the time or anything. He just thought he was going to make the shot, and he made me feel like he was going to make it. Sean May, even though he was our center when he played, when we won the national championship in 2005, he could have played all 5 spots. He knew everybody's assignment. He's one of the 5 smartest basketball players I've ever coached.
Big three.
Terrific thinking by May. Instead of giving up the ball, he kept the dribble alive and forced Illinois to go back inside. You don't find many big men that think like that on the fast break.
I think I'll really surprise you again. LAWSON.
Okay.
Because Ty, to me, was an athletic wonder, a freak athlete. He could jump out of the gym, take the ball to the basket, and dunk. But he had such tremendous feet and anticipation and athleticism. He's going back down the court in the national championship game against Michigan State and just looks back out of the corner of his eye and contorts his body and turns, and it's one of his 8 steals in the national championship game, which I think is still a championship game record.
Summers stolen. There it is, the record. That's number 8 for LAWSON, an all-time championship record.
This is a tough one, but Wayne Ellington.
Okay, I like this.
And Wayne was the MVP in the Final Four.
Tell me how you're feeling now.
It feels great. You know, you never know what this feeling feels like until you experience it. It's something that you really can't explain.
Wayne really did step up at the biggest time there is and made a bunch of jump shots. And so the prettiest jump shot would be Wayne Ellington. Tyler Hansbrough.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's not a surprise.
Yep.
Because the thing with Tyler is he could shoot a face and jump shot. By the time he's a senior, he was even making some threes. But you got the ball to Tyler, he was going to score almost 60% of the time or get fouled, and then he was going to make 80% of the free throws. So Tyler Hansbrough, I mean, it was a pretty comfortable feeling to know that we had him, that we could throw the ball into him at any time.
Roy Williams wants to get his reserves in as well. Tyler Hansbrough, look at that.
Oh, there it
excitement.
Jackie Manuel. And Jackie was on that 2005 national championship team, and we had great scoring with Raymond Felton and Sean May and Jawad and Marvin Williams and Rashad McCants. But Jackie Manuel could chase the guy around screens, could stay in front of the ball. Was just a guy that you could depend on to make it difficult for the other team. And he took everybody's best player. I mean, when we played anybody there, if they had that outside shooter that could really score, Jackie could make it difficult for them regardless of who it was. And better at chasing people around screens, avoiding screens, and still getting there on the catch than anybody, and was good staying in front of the ball. Blue guy would be Marvin Williams, another guy on that national championship team, but he was just a great teammate, and I used your description, positive influence on everybody, and just could do so many things on the court but was so special off the court.
Down the shot clock from Katz. Great tipsy-do. Tipped up and in. There's Marvin Williams.
Left-handed tip, and he beat May to it.
Never started a game and was the second guy drafted in the entire NBA after that 1 year. So he was just that guy that made everybody better. John was in the top 3 or 4 in the ACC in rebounding. He was the defensive player of the year as a sophomore and junior. There's no telling how he would have gone up in the totals for block shots at North Carolina if he had stayed for his senior year. He's played, 8 years in the NBA, but had the longest reach of any player. He's the only guy that I told, you can try to block the shot of the guy you're guarding. Because most of the time, if you try to block the shot of the guy you're guarding, it's going to be a foul. Those shot blockers that erase teammates' mistakes, John was by far the best, but John could even block the shot of the guy that he was guarding. And that is really, really hard to do. And every now and then he couldn't figure out where to go, so people would run over him. He didn't get a charge, but that's the only way he would get a charge. To me, David Noel, and David Noel's working for the Washington Wizards right now, but David was the 6th man on our championship team in 2005. And then the only guy that stayed. He was our leading returning scorer in 2006 at like 3.9 points a game or something like that.
Here's Tyler from Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Inside Noel, feeling it, banks it in. David Noel, the leader of this team.
And yet David Noel led that team to a number 3 seed throughout the course of the season. And I got a lot of credit as a coach of that group. And every time I'd get that, I'd tell David, thank you. Because it was him who was such a great leader on and off the court.